So 2 years ago, the NBA media voted Joel Embiid over a Jokic as MVP. It was really an anti-Jokic vote because Jokic is a more valuable player. He's a better player, and it's not particularly close if you watch yesterday. But the league's stewards, the media, did not want Jokic to win a third straight MVP, even though he's hands down the most valuable player, and you saw it yesterday. It's why the NBA media regularly kind of chooses cool stories over the truth. And I think increasingly people want the truth from their media. But I think it's official watching Embiid yesterday where Steve Kerr pulled him off the floor 2.5 minutes into the game against Serbia. He is the most overhyped, coddled, and overdiscussed, my bad, player in the NBA. I mean, Jokic and Embiid on the floor at the same time, it's not close. They're not the same player. They're not remotely close to the same level of player. Beyond padding his stats, Philadelphia keeps running coaches through him and teammates through him. And in the weaker Eastern Conference, he is yet to win a second-round playoff series. I'm not asking for much, just maybe one Eastern Conference Finals. Milwaukee was all beat up this year. I mean, the Knicks fell apart physically. So did Miami. Can you win a second playoff series in the significantly weaker conference? The other thing is he's never played 70 games. Remember, his career started, he was hurt for the first 2 years, never played 70 games. We bang on AD, but AD the last couple of years is there every night. So you can't depend on him physically. And then you watch this Olympics, and it is the best players in the world, and he is an atrocious fit. He doesn't fit at all. And remember, the FIBA rules don't call as many fouls, and he lives at the free throw line. So you take that element out of his game at the Olympics, he's not only not effective, he hurts the team. And FIBA rules are good for bigs. Jokic is dominant, AD's great, Bam's great. Embiid can't play here. And again, when you watch Jokic and Embiid on the floor at the same time, they've given him James Harden. They've given him Jimmy Butler. They've given him Ben Simmons. Remember, Ben Simmons made an all-star game. And he can't win a second-round playoff series in the East. Jokic has never had a single teammate that's been an all-star. He's already got a trophy. And yesterday, the plus-minus for Jokic almost single-handedly played even with Team USA when he was on the floor. 81-81. When Jokic was off the floor, Serbia was minus 26, and he was only off the floor for a few minutes. Embiid, meanwhile, was the only American player with a minus in the plus-minus category. He's getting heckled now by French fans because he chose to play for the United States. My only question now, can you make trades during the Olympics? Can we get Wemby? I'll give you Embiid and future draft picks. Just give us Wemby. But we can officially now stop comparing Embiid and Jokic. Jokic is healthy. Jokic can be complimentary in the star. Jokic makes every teammate better. I was thinking about this morning. Is the only three players in my life that I've ever watched basketball that make virtually every teammate they play with better. Magic, LeBron, and Jokic. Michael Jordan was great. He took away shots from a lot of good players. Barkley was great. Steph's great. They don't always elevate every single teammate. Magic, LeBron, and Jokic. But this is more because we knew Jokic was great. And we knew, J-Mac called it, that Serbia would be a tough out. They were for about 70% of the game until the very end. But in the end, this is about Embiid. Let's not put him in that class anymore. He can't stay healthy. He doesn't win enough. He clogs up the offense. And it was all on display yesterday. Anthony Davis and Joel Embiid are vying for a starting center spot on the Olympic team. That's going to be in Paris. It's going to be in Paris about a week or two, right? We're going to have the Olympics. And so he got these games yesterday against Serbia. And Embiid had the worst plus-minus of any player for Team USA. And Embiid, France wanted him on their team. Everybody fought hard for him, right? And he goes. Anthony Davis, by the way, has been very subtle about even being included. His quote was about the Olympics, "I'd be happy to play if I'm asked." And he has been an absolutely dominant figure when he's been on the floor. But I've said this for years. Because the NBA is very much into aesthetics and style, I get lectured for years about players. Carmelo Anthony is unbelievable. He was a terrible defender, never in elite shape, a complete isolation player, very few assists, never made a teammate better, didn't do squat in the playoffs. I was told Derrick Rose was going to dominate the league. A highly efficient shooter, more turnovers than I'd like, and hurt all the time. I'm sorry, he's not going to physically dominate the league. I was told Westbrook's an MVP. I thought he was a stat patter. Bad hands, can't shoot for a guard, hyper athletic, but played one speed and often out of control. My eyes did not tell me that Westbrook was an MVP and Carmelo was an absolutely dominant player or Derrick Rose was going to run the league. And my eyes are telling me the same for years with Joel Embiid. I'm not denying he's got a Shaq feel to him. But Shaq won in the playoffs. Shaq was dominant when it mattered. I'm watching this Olympic stuff. Embiid gets in the way of the offense. Anthony Davis doesn't. Hell, Anthony Davis took 2 shots yesterday and was the second most dominating player in the game to Steph Curry. He is literally jumps off the television set. And here's the thing I like about AD, and we've seen this for years in Los Angeles. He can be a star and dominate a game, but he's also an incredibly complementary player. He elevates LeBron. LeBron doesn't have to worry about defending the rim. He can be a complementary player on this Olympic team, or he can dominate moments. With Embiid, there is no complementary to his game. He forces you to play his style. And so does Steph Curry, but I get 4 titles. And so did LeBron, but I got 8 straight finals. With Embiid, he forces you to play his game, but I don't get the payoff at the end of the season. He gets in the way of the Olympic offense, and I find sometimes watching Philadelphia, yes, he's productive. So was Zach LaVine, and the Bulls can't give him away. So was Carmelo Anthony and Westbrook. They didn't win in the playoffs. If you're talking about the greatest bigs of all time, Russell, titles, Kareem, titles, Shaq, titles, Akeem, titles. Embiid can't win a second-round playoff series in the weaker conference. So, again, I'm willing to sacrifice things. LeBron does this a little. You got to kind of build your team around LeBron. But in his prime, so what? I'm going to the finals. Steph Curry, you're going to build some stuff, and you're going to have to sacrifice a little defense with Steph Curry. All right, I'm getting to like 5, 6 finals. I got 4 rings. I don't get the payoff for Embiid. Once again, you're lecturing me on how great he is. Well, greatness in the NBA is May and June. Who gives a rip about January in Cleveland? I want May and June success. I get it with Steph. Like Magic Johnson wasn't a great defender, but I got the payoff. He elevated everybody around him. Magic could play center. He could play guard. He could do anything. Embiid, to me, is a great productive talent, but he's closer to the Westbrook, Carmelo, where I get all this productivity. I'm lectured on how great he is. I'm not sure he elevates anybody. Like Carmelo, you had to kind of run the offense around him. He was kind of a rigid player, but he was an isolation player, a bit of a hole if you gave him the ball, and he couldn't defend. Well, again, there's limitations to how much I'm going to sacrifice in life. I got to get a payoff in the end. Right? So I'm watching this stuff. I'm watching Serbia, USA, Australia, USA. Embiid is not as dominant a player, as important a player, as complimentary a player as Anthony Davis. And I don't think it's relatively close.